Alright, let's talk about Dan Campbell's decision to attempt an onside kick while trailing by 10 points in the fourth quarter against the Buffalo Bills. We all know Campbell is an aggressive coach who isn't afraid to take risks. But after this game, some critics came out in full force, calling the move reckless and unanalytical. But here's the thing. While the onside kick didn't work out as Campbell had hoped, his decision wasn't as crazy as people make it out to be. In fact, it was a calculated gamble, based on the context of the game and the Lions' current situation. Let's break it down. The onside kick, a bold call, not a reckless gamble. Dan Campbell is known for his bold, sometimes controversial decisions, whether it's going for it on fourth down or making an unexpected onside kick attempt. This time, with 12 minutes still remaining in the game and the Lions trailing the Bills 48-38, Campbell decided to pull the trigger on an onside kick. Now, while some of the more traditional football minds might have been clutching their pearls at the thought of an onside kick in such a crucial situation, Campbell's call wasn't as insane as it might appear at first glance. Here's the context. The Lions' defense was decimated by injuries. They were missing key players and had been unable to stop the Bills for much of the game. Through 9 possessions, the Bills only had to punt once, and Detroit had been unable to pressure Josh Allen or slow down their offense. Essentially, the Lions were in a desperate situation, with field position not mattering much. Campbell figured that the likelihood of forcing a 3-and-out was incredibly low. Why not take a shot at a new possession by attempting the onside kick? "I thought we'd get possession," Campbell said, and honestly, I can't fault him for it. Even though the bounce didn't go the Lions' way and Mac Hollins grabbed it and returned it to the Lions' 5-yard line. Campbell's decision was a strategic risk rather than a reckless one. In a high-stakes situation, the alternative was to kick the ball deep, hope for a miracle stop, and then try to score quickly. With a defense that couldn't stop a nosebleed, the onside kick was as good a gamble as any. Why did Campbell do it? So why did Campbell go for it? Simple. He knows the numbers. But he's not a slave to them. Football, as much as we love the stats, isn't just a numbers game. There's an art to coaching, a feel for the game that can't always be calculated by a spreadsheet. Campbell isn't afraid to take unconventional approaches. And in this case, he saw an opportunity for a game-changing play. Let's be honest. Here, the Lions weren't going to stop Buffalo's offense with their depleted defense. They were just hoping for a chance to make something happen. By attempting the onside kick, Campbell was conceding that his defense couldn't be relied upon to stop Allen and the Bills on a typical drive. Rather than take a huge gamble on a 3-and-out, he opted for the gamble of potentially stealing a possession. And that's the thing about Campbell's mindset. He's always looking for ways to win. When the traditional routes are unlikely to work, he's not afraid to pivot and think outside the box. In this instance, the gamble didn't pay off. But that doesn't mean it was a dumb move. It was a calculated risk, with the knowledge that even if it didn't work, the Lions would have to make up for it in other ways. The aftermath. Did it cost the Lions the game? In hindsight, Campbell admitted that it might not have been the best call, given the terrible field position that the Bills inherited after the onside kick failed. The Bills scored quickly and stretched their lead to 55-38. But was it really the onside kick that cost the Lions the game? Look, the Lions were already in a highly unfavorable position, with their defense banged up and unable to get stops. It was clear that Campbell was working with a limited playbook. The Bills were dominating on offense, and relying on a defense that had already given up 48 points up to that point wasn't a solid option. A normal kickoff probably wouldn't have turned the tide either. It's not as though the Lions were going to stop Allen at midfield and then march down to score. The real blow to the Lions' chances came when David Montgomery, their star running back, was lost for the season with a torn MCL. Montgomery had been a key part of the offense all year, and without him, the Lions' chances of controlling the game and putting together a balanced attack took a huge hit. Campbell's aggression, a philosophy for the long run. So let's talk about Campbell's philosophy. This onside kick wasn't just a random, out-of-nowhere decision. It was part of his long-standing coaching philosophy that emphasizes aggression and seizing control of the game. He's always been a coach who looks for opportunities to take the game into his own hands, and not just rely on traditional methods of playing. And you know what? Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But when you've got a team that's reeling from injuries and facing a top-tier offense like the Bills, you've got to try something new. Campbell's willingness to pull the trigger on aggressive moves, like going for it on fourth down or pulling out trick plays, is what makes him one of the most intriguing coaches in the NFL. He's not just about winning with the safe playbook, he's about finding ways to win, no matter what the situation is. Whether it's an onside kick or a pass to offensive lineman Dan Skipper, who, by the way, declared himself eligible and caught a touchdown pass, Campbell will always push the envelope. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you move on and try again. Looking ahead, more aggression coming. With Montgomery out for the season, Campbell will likely double down on his aggressive approach. He doesn't have the luxury of relying on a fully healthy roster anymore, so his decision-making will likely get even more aggressive. Expect more fourth-down gambles, onside kicks, and unconventional plays as the Lions try to make a push for the playoffs. In a league where injuries pile up and rosters are constantly in flux, playing it safe isn't always an option. When you're fighting to stay relevant in the playoff hunt, you do what you have to do. And Campbell's willingness to take those risks is a big reason why Lions fans should stay excited about the direction the team is heading, even if things don't always go according to plan. Wrapping up, at the end of the day, Dan Campbell's onside kick wasn't a reckless gamble. It was a calculated risk in a game that was slipping away. And sure, it didn't work out this time. But Campbell will undoubtedly continue to pull these moves because that's how he coaches, aggressively, with a focus on controlling the game. And who knows, next time it might just pay off. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Dan Campbell's onside kick decision, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. We've got more NFL insights coming your way, so stay tuned for all the action. See you next time. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you love football, you're in the right place. Get comfy, grab your snacks, and let's dive into the world of NFL madness. Because today we've got a fun one lined up. Don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and share this video with your friends, because who doesn't love a little football chaos in their lives? Alright, let's talk about something that's been causing a lot of ruckus lately, and no, I'm not talking about the NFL referees or that one guy on Twitter who thinks he can throw a spiral 60 yards. I'm talking about the Lions game against the Bills. And let me tell you, it's been a wild ride. If you were watching that game, you know what I'm talking about. If you weren't, well, buckle up, because it's about to get interesting. So, here we go. This Sunday's showdown between the Detroit Lions and Buffalo Bills was the game everyone was talking about. On paper, it was supposed to be a close, thrilling matchup, right? But if you tuned in, you were probably wondering why the only thing hotter than the Lions' offense was the CBS broadcast itself. And I'm not talking about the excitement. I'm talking about the hot mess that was their coverage. Now, let's get one thing straight. I love a good game of football. But what I don't love, when the broadcast team messes up in the middle of a major game. So, what went wrong? Well, grab your popcorn, because we're about to break it down. What went wrong with CBS's broadcast? Alright, first things first. The game kicks off and everything is going smoothly. The atmosphere at Ford Field? Electric. The crowd? Wild. And then, the broadcast starts. We got Jim Nantz and Tony Romo in the booth. Jim, who's the seasoned pro, and Romo, who's known for his hyper-excited, "I'm the smartest guy in the room" commentary. And hey, I get it. Romo's been around the block. The man knows his stuff. But, let's just say, this wasn't Romo at his best. First of all, the constant cutting to commercials without properly identifying injured players? Big oof. Twice, they just cut away from the game, leaving viewers at home like, wait, was that a season-ending injury? Or just a bruised toe? Not the most ideal scenario, right? I mean, how about a little heads up next time? CBS? Just a bit of information for us poor folks trying to figure out if our favorite players are walking off to the locker room or heading to the ER. And it wasn't just the ads. Romo's commentary was all over the place. I mean, seriously. It was like watching a game with your friend who doesn't know the rules but still insists on offering unsolicited advice. Oh, look at that guy. He's so good. He should be playing quarterback. Yeah, Romo, we get it. You really like him. But we just want to know what's happening on the field. Fans react. We need a mute button. Now, I don't know if it was the nerves or what, but a lot of fans took to social media to express their absolute disdain for the broadcast. And I don't mean a casual complaint, no. We're talking about full-on rants. People were tweeting things like, "This is the worst broadcast I've ever watched. Tony Romo needs to get his act together. I'm watching this game on mute." At this point, and, hey, I can't blame them. Romo's analysis seemed more like random thoughts than actual football insight. At one point, I'm pretty sure he said, "And you know, the thing about football is, it's a game played with the feet, and I had to stop myself from throwing my remote at the screen." Yes, Romo, we know. People were begging for a mute button or, even better, a remote with a skip feature for Romo's rants. It became clear that if you wanted to enjoy the game without a side of random factoids, you had to either mute the TV or suffer in silence. Honestly, the real game became trying to find the mute button fast enough when Romo went off on one of his tangents. But hey, let's not forget about the actual game. As much as we'd love to roast Romo for his commentary,